move to the next block, which is the E, and it's for engagement. And that becomes very important because oftentimes when we have to take up any initiative, project, or endeavor, hardly ever do we do it all by ourselves. Most often, we'll have to do it with others. Okay. So the question we ask there is, what is likely to make the other people or the other person feel inspired and motivated enough to actually work with me towards this goal? And from the different works we've done and approaches we've looked at, we came up with these 5 critical elements to say that the average human being is likely to feel inspired and work with you towards a certain common purpose if they feel heard, if they feel understood, if they feel respected, if they feel accepted, and if they feel valued. People who feel valued are likely to put in a lot more discretionary effort towards a certain common goal. Okay. So, to flip it on its head, then we try to ask the question, what are the things that I can do to make the other person feel heard, understood, respected, accepted, and valued? And that is what we actually use to form the acronym HURAV, to say, what is it that we can do to make the other person feel HURAV? Yeah. And it's very interesting in this concept when you ask people to start digging deeper into sharing with us what behaviors do you observe that make you feel heard? And then what behaviors from other people do you observe and it makes you feel not heard? And it's interesting. I always find it a very interesting exercise because you realize that the perspectives are very varied. And it helps to know the different little funny things that people consider as you're not paying attention to me, or you're not hearing what I'm saying, or you're not understanding me, or you're not respecting my perspectives and where I'm coming from. In fact, you are not accepting my opinion on this matter, okay? And I don't feel valued. And the things that make them feel this way are quite varied. So it helps to be able to do that reflection, to ask other people for feedback, to understand deeply the other person you're dealing with, so that at all times you will be able to make them feel HURAV. Okay, yeah. And that's just what HURAV is. Yeah. So it's about that continuous exercise that you do with yourself to understand other people better, to be able to HURAV them. Because we know that when people feel HURAV, they are likely to put in a lot more effort towards that common purpose.
So for me, it's like the huge part for leadership. Okay. And we are all here to grow ourselves, to improve our leadership impact. To your question, I'm glad to tell you that HURAV is a homegrown concept. It's not a model sitting anywhere. This is Lead It model, based on all the work that we've done. And I'm excited around engagement for a good reason. I mean, for those in HR, I think there are some people here who said in HR, the number one sought after attitude or trait now, as of 2020, by recruiters is resourcefulness. Okay? And because we will not all have the resources we want at every point in time, for me, where I sit, one of the most important resource as a person that you can lean to is your ability to engage. That you are resourceful enough that even if you don't have all that you need, you know how to engage to get that which you don't have. This is it. It is so huge a component as a leader because you can only achieve your results through the people. So when you're able to engage the people in a way for them to bring their resource into the space, really you are demonstrating your resourcefulness. So engagement as a component of the mere F actually is tied to resourcefulness in the mindset. That, okay, I want to go to Medina. I don't have money. That is the resource. I don't have money. I have the choice to say, okay, so then I'm not going to Medina because I don't have money. My resourcefulness comes in, can I engage somebody to take me to Medina? Okay? So my effectiveness in engaging another person to bring his or her resource into my space looks like it's the most critical thing I need, because at any point in time, I will not have all that I need. For me, this is how critical I find engagement. And when it comes to talking to another human being, this is what we call the communication, right? So all the communication tricks or techniques or skills, or as you may call them, they are all geared towards getting the other person feel proud. Just think about it.
Okay, so this HURAV, how do you get them to feel HURAVed? And how will you know that they are actually feeling HURAVed?
I think that's a very beautiful question. And that was what I was alluding to earlier. To say, for all of us, we'll need to take time to understand the other party and be able to find out what is it that when I do, Araba feels heard. She feels that I am actually listening to what she's saying, and I am hearing her. What is it that when I do is likely to make her feel that I'm not listening and I'm not hearing, and to be able to make that choice? What is it that I do and it makes her feel understood? Okay, and if I know the things that when I do, it makes you feel like I am not understanding you, then I can avoid them, okay, or try to mitigate the impact of those things.
Yeah.
So it's about taking time to really understand the people around us.
Yeah.
And there are some general things, okay, they're general.
Yeah.
So when you're speaking to me and I am looking elsewhere and I'm playing on my phone, okay, it might be that I'm taking notes of what you're saying.
Yeah.
And what we perceive is that he's playing on his phone. For most people, they don't feel heard. They don't feel that they're being listened to.
The value of the
Okay.
respect.
Yeah.
Or you come and you tell me the story of a great thing that is happening out there and why we need to all move our cars. And then I'm saying, okay, so it's good that you are here. So let's plan for lunch. Okay? Talking out of sync like that is not likely to make the average person feel heard. So there are general things. People say when you look at me, when you nod like you're nodding now, makes me feel like you're hearing me. Okay? And then when I see you doing something else, I can feel. So the general things around listening, I think that when we go online, it's abundant, we'll get a lot. And again, the lead it way, we say, okay, so bring it into your space and think about, so what are the things that I will start doing differently now to make others feel HURAV? Okay? And
Yeah. So there are some general things, to Herman's point, apart from the fact that different individuals may feel HURAV in different ways.
I had a question.
There are some
about that.
general things, and I think I started from there to say, you have all attended several communication skill training, isn't it? Presentation skills, negotiation skills. Think of all the things you were trying to teach you or trying to get you to do. Why? It's for you to appear to the individual, it's for the individual to feel like he feels heard, he feels respected, he feels understood.
Okay.
So I'll give an example. You say, okay, so when you are making a presentation, don't turn your back to the people.
Okay.
Maybe you have not thought about it. Why is it that they are saying we should? It is the basis that people feel not respected. They don't feel like when they talk you will hear, whilst you have your back to them. So generally, if you think of all the general communication skills thing, the focus is to let the other person feel HURAV. The trick here is, is a feeling.
Okay.
It's not that I have respected you enough. Okay. It is not in your power to decide whether I'm respected or not.
I feel respected.
I will feel respected. So that's where the leadership challenge has been. Like, you think, oh, but these guys, why are they behaving like that? I'm treating them so nicely. Okay. And you don't know how they are feeling. I think in our morning session, I mentioned, I really love that phrase, that in communication, you only know what you are saying, and you never know what is being heard. Okay. So even as you are trying to make people feel HURAV, you really don't know if they are being HURAV.
Yeah.
It's only through their feedback
Exactly.
that you will know that they are HURAV or not HURAV. Sometimes when we mention feedback, it's like I'm waiting for him to say, yes, I'm HURAV. Okay, I'm respected. So Herman earlier on mentioned that communication is the only thing that you cannot say, I cannot communicate. You cannot not communicate. Even when you sit and say you are not doing anything, you are communicating because somebody will just look at you and this is the difficulty we have with the engagement. So your conscious effort to get a feedback is what will give you an impression whether the people really feel HURAV, because okay, they are coming back to you with responses like, yeah, okay, the project is going, they are coming with ideas that you have not thought about. It gives you a sense of, you bought into it, okay, they begged me. So we say in communication, it is not complete until your intended action that you wanted from the other person has actually happened. Okay. To say it again, if I ask Araba, stand up, and Araba says, yeah, Isaac, I understand, yeah, don't worry, I will stand up. I can go back and tell Isaac that, you said, I asked you to go and tell Araba to stand up. I have communicated to her. I've communicated to her. And Araba is still sitting. So, because I initiated the communication, I take the responsibility to engage Araba to stand up.
Okay.
Until she stands up, as far as I'm concerned, my communication is not complete.
Yeah.
And leadership has to see that in engaging their people. It's not just say we get up one morning, make a nice speech. Okay, from tomorrow we will be wearing blue wrap for everybody. And then tomorrow comes, people are wearing red and yellow. Okay, the board asks you, why are the people still wearing red and yesterday I communicated. I told everybody in the meeting. So already you are pushing the blame. We talked about that in the group mindset. Already you are saying it's not my fault.
You don't feel
it's
good.
Them.
Okay.
And you sit in engagement and say, there is something that I'm doing, or the way I said it, or what other things I did whilst I was saying it, that probably is making the people not giving me my desired results. For me, this is an area I really love.
Yeah, and I think to that point, when you started talking, immediately you started with, I overheard. I was saying, yes, and I have a question.
Okay.
So, in the spirit of practicing HURAV, and this also is always looked at from the principle of inclusion.
Yeah.
So sometimes when you're even in a group, you're speaking, some people speak and engage a lot, and then other people, they don't engage at all.
Yeah.
And part of engagement, HURAVing, is to make even the quiet people feel heard. So you create a space for them also to come in. So I'll
that
be
point.
very interested in hearing that. But it sounded like a very exciting question.
Interesting. So, okay, in your bid as a leader to have effective leadership, and you engage in multiple people, is that a situation where you have a conflicting HURAV between these people? Sort of the feedback you are getting from, because they are looking from your behavior that, well, they feel heard and understood. But the feedback you're getting is sort of conflicting between each of them. But then you are trying as much as possible to, you know, satisfy their HURAV, if I should put it. So is there a situation like that?
I think that's a very interesting question. And we indicated when we started to say there are some general norms to say, okay, when you're listening to people, keep eye contact, nod, take notes to show you're listening and all that, okay? And as much as those are general norms that tend to work well within the HURAV space, individuals are individuals. So each and every one of us is special in our own way. And what actually potentiates or make the HURAV even more effective is being able to HURAV the individual, okay? Not to say I have some generic models around HURAV. To know what makes the other person feel heard, understood, respected, accepted, and valued. So between the two of us, for example, Isaac and I, you could have a situation where one person says, when you want to engage me, just come, let's talk. And then the other person would say, no, I process it better when you write it down and send it to me. I'll make time and I'll look at it, okay? And we're in a project together, you want to HURAV, okay? So I guess your question is, so which of these two do I choose?
Yes.
Okay. I don't have an answer. What I know is that you know how to HURAV us individually. Okay.
All right.
So your next, should I say, your next level is, to Emma's point, ask yourself the question of how.
Oh, okay.
I think a few things are happening in the corporate world that is actually, I mean, lending itself to this point that we make. Maybe some years ago, corporate incentives, for example, was like one size fits all. At the end of the year, everybody gets something, CDs or dollars or whatever. And progressive organizations are coming to realize that it's not everybody who is inspired or motivated by the money. So they started asking the why questions. So the money, when they give you the money, so they owe me the money I use it for holidays, or owe me the money, that's what I used to save for my children, their school. So in order to demonstrate and actually HURAV these people by their own perception of being HURAV, companies engage employees right from the beginning to say, okay, what is your plan for the year? And they try to factor that in. How do we reward this guy in his plan?
Okay.
So you'll be there, they bring a scholarship for your two children, okay? The scholarship may be even less than the money they would have given you. And the way you appreciate it, far higher than that money if they are giving you the money. And they do the same. They give vouchers for holidays. Some people say, no, they want the money. They give them the money. It answers to the question like, progressive organizations pay attention to this model. To say that, let's find a way to let these people feel valued. Okay? They will give us the discretionary effort that we want. The leadership dexterity is the question we are asking ourselves. And to the point of the big, great word yet, to convince yourself, okay, I'm able to handle this one, and this one I don't know. It's okay at that time to say, I don't know yet. And I'm not giving up. I'm still exploring ways to HURAV this person because maybe I haven't understood it. The learning, personal development has no end. You do it into your grave. Yeah.
I think that component of engagement and communication is so big on its own that as we get deeper and we unpack it, we'll see different perspectives and dimensions to it. The critical thing is to remember that we all need engagement if we're going to lead, and to be able to get it effectively. HURAV actually is your pin word.
in there.
Okay.
If it's
Great.
okay to make a reference to what we started of people setting their objectives, the things they want to achieve, for example, immediately, just think of it. Immediately, you will know there's at least one person you have to engage on your journey to achieve what you want to achieve.
Yeah.
There's at least one person. And then you start to think, how do I HURAV this person to get him inspired?
Yeah.
Great.
These keywords around HURAV,
This
Okay.
one I
we need to
share.
share. Okay.
Great.
So, one of the simplest and fastest way to make people feel on HURAV or on head is anytime you answer their questions or during conversation to come in with words like no, but, or however. So immediately the person says whatever it is, like the beautiful weather out there, then you respond, but the sun is not very bright. Or, but anytime you go with but, we are not aware and we do it a lot. And we just want to bring it into our conscious space to say, anytime you're using these words, no, but, however, we are actually HURAVing the other party. Okay, so we need to see how best to avoid it. And sometimes it feels rather complex and not easy. And what we're challenging you to practice is to replace your no, your but, and your however with the phrase yes and. Okay. So later during the break, we'll do some trial runs of how you feel when you're using no, but, and then how you feel when you use yes and. Okay. So it's a critical bit of the HURAVing. Okay.